You kids know each other.
Yeah.
Shiva Baby stars Rachel Sennett as Danielle, a 20-something college student who's got a secret. She moonlights as a sugar baby for some wealthy men. And she attends a Shiva, which is like a Jewish tradition after a funeral.
Sorry for your loss. Mom. Who died?
Sort of like a little family get-together. And at this get-together, she encounters her sugar daddy. And hijinks ensue, there's drama, there's a lot of great tension in this movie. This was my third time seeing the movie, Braden.
This was my first.
Yes. Right before I played it, I asked, do you know anything about this movie? You said no. So going in blind, now you've seen the light of Shiva Baby.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was a really good movie.
Yeah.
Really impressive movie, even, you know? It's a very cramped, claustrophobic, anxious experience, that Shiva Baby.
One thing that I appreciate about the movie is its singular location and setting.
Yeah.
I mean, it jumps to like one other location at the beginning of the movie. That's really just more like setup.
Right, it's just the one house for the entire time.
But this is a very Gen Z kind of movie to me. Some very Gen Z humor. It's funny. And I think it's very relatable. Like, you know, even though like we didn't grow up in like Jewish households, like seeing these like family get-togethers and like your awkward conversations with your cousins and aunts and uncles that you never really see, and it's made even funnier when you know that she has this like secret that's about to burst and she's about to be exposed.
Yeah, it's a cool extra layer to the anxiety that maybe a family get-together sort of comes. Their family get-togethers are very formal, and you know we've experienced these probably in our lifetime, very relatable as you said, and so that extra layer of like, oh, and she's also hiding the fact that she's fucking this guy that this whole family knows, essentially. It characterizes the movie in a way.
And she learns that he has a wife played by Daniel Agnon.
Maybe he has a wife?
Yeah, he has a wife played by Quinn from Glee. Who,
okay.
I don't know if you've seen Glee, Braden.
Not a Glee.
I've seen Glee.
Okay.
I'm quite a Gleek, Braden.
Is that what they call themselves?
That is what they call themselves.
Really?
So it was kind of fun seeing her. There's a couple other actors somewhat of note, but mainly it comes from Rachel Sennett. Have you seen anything from her, really?
The main character?
Yes.
I don't know. She seems like really familiar.
So she was in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Didn't see that.
Okay. And she also is like a stand-up comedian.
I've never had a boyfriend, but I have 100 exes.
Maybe I've seen her from that.
It's funny because her character is pretty similar just to herself, it seems.
Okay.
You know, stand-up comedian. There are a couple differences, though. Apparently, she isn't gay in real life.
All right.
And she isn't Jewish. And what's funny is
what?
that...
She's not Jewish?
Yeah. And what's funny is that the Kim character, who is like the sugar daddy's wife, they say that she isn't Jewish and she is Jewish in real life.
Odd. Okay.
Yeah. So another important note about this movie, it's mostly, other than a couple producers and obviously like some of the talent, it's pretty much an all-women produced movie. You know, women directed, written.
So is it written by the main actor then, or directed or produced or anything?
I don't know exactly what role she had in other than the main cast. I know it's directed by someone named Emma Seligman, and she is the one who's producing the Bottoms movie that is coming out.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
It's basically Lesbian Fight Club. Which
got you.
Seems fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very cramped movie, claustrophobic.
Great cinematography to show that off.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of very like close-up shots, like extreme close-up.
It's almost exclusively extreme close-ups, handheld cam. There's a lot of like, even with like an extreme, they'll have a close-up of someone, and a lot of times they'll have other people in the frame at different points to just really like get this claustrophobic sort of feel to it, where you're given no space to breathe at multiple points in this movie.
Yeah. One thing that I really like too is it shows how fake she has to be to like her family. Like obviously like she's worried that she's gonna get found out this whole time. Maybe her family will disown her or whatever.
Right.
It'll just be trouble for her. But she still has to like see her family like, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight. You look so beautiful. Are you dating any guys? How's school going? What's your degree about? Like, are you gonna get a job in like being a feminist leader or whatever?
I mean, that's the character's like main struggle, is the fact that she has to be fake for everyone in her life, basically. Not even has to be, because we also learn later that she has like a friend that she hasn't connected with in a while, and she's kind of fake to her. She didn't communicate well. The character clearly has a problem with like speaking her mind and being herself and explaining herself.
Yeah. So you mentioned her friend Maya, who I believe they had like a previous kind of romance relationship. She was a fun character too. People have described this movie as just chaotic bi energy.
Okay.
And I feel that. That's definitely kind of the energy coming off this movie. Were there any like characters of note? I mean, her family's pretty good. Her parents are funny. Her dad's funny.
Her dad's a standout. He's a classic dad character, and I love a classic dad character with all those jokes that follow it. A lot of great old ladies in this movie. I think all of the old ladies were a good standout. I love me some old clueless women. That's just a passion of mine, I guess you could say. A passion, yeah. And it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Her friend is really fun. She's really like straightforward and kind of fucks with her a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely causes some drama. I really like the subtlety with which some of these like characters will talk, and like for instance when she's trying to find her phone and she's like, I think I saw him like the kitchen or the bathroom. But, there's just a lot of good interpersonal drama, kind of like a soap opera in a way.
Yeah.
Just like, this person's cheating on this person and they don't know. It's just it's a fun movie.
Yeah. It keeps you entertained because she sends like nudes at one point, and that's one thing that I didn't quite understand necessarily. Why did she send those?
Well, I think it might have been. Maybe she was kind of mad at him and like just wanting to cause problems for him. But also, there's even a scene later where she like is maybe gonna like perform oral sex on him, and she decides, or he decides not to. So like, I think that she's just kind of like young and clearly she's a sexual person,
right?
And maybe when she has these confusing feelings, one of her impulses is to like act sexual.
Yeah, it seems like she's kind of an erratic person, and she gets very spiteful at times. So I thought maybe that was maybe to spite his like blonde wife or whatever, by like, I'm gonna send these nudes or get back at him,
And like there's some funny moments where you see she's even kind of resentful of the wife.
I don't think she's pretty. Malibu Barbie is not pretty.
She's just characterized very immature, which you would think would verge like on annoying, and she is, but in like a real way. So you're never actually annoyed with her.
Do you think she's immature in a real way or annoying in a real way?
Immature in a real way, which could verge on being, I'm saying the immaturity could verge on being annoying to an audience member if they're like, I just hate this character, I don't want to like watch her. But because she's depicted as a real character, you kind of feel bad for her and relate to her, and the immaturity just sort of pushes the movie forward.
What's good is you relate to her, and I mean, you could very easily, obviously she's like the main character in the movie, but like if this was a different movie, you could make it where she's like the home wrecker and she's like the bad character. Yeah. But I mean, it's from her perspective, and you understand that she's not the only one that's being
an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, like the guy's cheating on his wife.
Of course,
he lied to her. She lied to him. There's a lot of betrayal.
Her family, even you could say, is very belittling to her, patronizing. Yeah. So everyone in this is a real character. They all have faults, whether or not they're completely in the right or in the wrong about whatever subject.
Yeah. So like we mentioned, there's a lot of funny moments of just like her, like there's one moment that I think we particularly laughed out loud where it's a very tense scene with her and she has to just try and get away. And that's another thing. She tries to like cope with like stress eating. You see, like a lot of times she'll like fill up her plate and she'll like take it off because they mentioned that this character lost a lot of weight. And maybe it's even implying that she gave up that, took on the sexual stuff to like
cope with it,
cope with the stress,
cope with the cope.
But then she leaves this very stressful situation, and there's just like this random relative that's like, "Oh, how are you? You starving yourself and stuff."
And she like smacks her hand against the wall and it pops up.
Wow, lucky you.
Even though this isn't like exactly an action-filled movie, it's just tense. There's stakes. You're invested.
Right.
I love it.
The soundtrack does that as well.
Oh yes, the strings.
Yeah, the little pizzicato, like and stuff that goes by.
Especially like every time she like darts her eyes across the room, it has like a little sound effect.
Yeah, at times like I was wondering, because I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I was like, is this gonna turn into like some sort of avant-garde horror movie or something like that? There was a scene where she was like holding a baby. I was like, is she gonna drop the baby? Is this gonna get like really dark? Because the music and like the shaky cam. It's also like visceral. There's one scene where she's like having a bit of a panic attack almost, and it's cutting between people really fast, and it even has some more like yellow intense lighting.
You're talking about the baby shake scene?
Yeah, baby
I
shake.
love that scene. Again, it's just uneasy because you can just feel these. And that's the thing. The first time I watched this movie, I remember like even my Letterboxd review was like I hated that end scene at the car. Not hated, but just it was so stressful. Of just he's trying to load all these people in this car, and she like ruined this marriage. And then there's her friend in the back. And here's another thing. So upon first viewing, like whenever Kim finds her phone and like realizes that she's like cheating on her husband or whatever, or her husband's cheating on her, I thought that maybe she just found it. But upon a rewatch, I think that Maya may have given her the phone off screen. Which at first I was like, why would she do that? She don't want to screw over. But I mean, clearly she's angry with her when after they just had this like rekindling moment and finds out that she's like with this guy.
Right.
But and then I'm like, well, she could have also just found the phone. But I think that that's the more interesting option in my opinion.
I think
interesting option is usually the right one.
I think that makes sense. Like you said, she was angry at her, and you get this sort of vibe that Maya is the more responsible one. She's the one who's going to college to be like law school. Yeah, she's the successful one. So you kind of get this vibe that maybe she's like disappointed in Maya, or not Maya. What's the name? And Danielle. Yeah, Maya's disappointed in Danielle for like her life choices and how messy she's been. So I could definitely see her messing with her, fucking with her. She fucks with her on other levels in this movie. So that just makes sense that she would give her the phone. I didn't even think of that while watching.
All right, Braden, let's talk about ratings.
Let's go.
I'll have you start since it's your first experience.
Okay.
Shiva Baby. What do you give Shiva Baby?
I'm going to go, I think, 4.5 with Shiva Baby. I don't have any real problems with the movie. I guess maybe, I don't know, I was going to say maybe a flaw would be that, like, it doesn't have a clear conclusion, but I would say it actually kind of does. Like, it just, it happens. The movie just sort of happens. It ends off, and our character does learn something at the end, so it is pretty conclusive. I don't know, it was thoroughly enjoyable. It's impressive how much they do within this small space. They kind of use their lack of a setting, I guess you could say, to just bring out the other elements of the film and find ways to make it interesting and make it more than it could have been. Yeah. So 4.5 for me.
Cool. I give Shiva Baby a 5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I feel like I've been giving out a lot of 5 out of 5s recently with our reviews.
Okay.
But you know what? We've been watching movies I enjoy. And
that happens.
Initially, I think the first time I saw it, I would have given it like a 4. But upon a couple rewatches, I really kind of appreciate it from like a script writing level. Of just realizing like, okay, you have this very limited setting and a couple of characters, but you really do good at building the tension. And I think the casting is great in this movie. I think, especially Rachel Sennett, she just like embodies this character. I think mostly because it's very similar to probably how she is in real life.
Yeah.
But like the characters are great, the story's great, the tension's great, the anxiety's great, and you walk away from the movie being like, oh, that was a nightmare, that was stressful, But that's a sign to me of a good director and a good story when it actually like can evoke that kind of emotion out of you. And it's just fun and funny and relatable and very kind of modern humor. Like I feel like this is one of those modern sort of like, you mentioned before, like when we talked about Barbie, how it's kind of like the Scooby-Doo, like the early 2000s kind of vibes. This is what I feel like this generation's kind of like teen comedy movies are going to be.
Yeah, these sort of like coming of age stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those really connect with like our generation.
Or even kind of like 8th grade or like those kind of movies. Yeah. So I'm excited to see more from this director and from the cast. I had a great time and I'd highly recommend it. I think it's just
Me too.
Fun time.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's bid it adieu.
Oh my God. Did you just think of that?
Yeah.
I was like, where have you been sitting on that?
Well, I was trying to think of some Jew pun, and it was like it hit me right there at the end.
Wow.
I'm not gonna blow him in the bathroom. We are at a Shiva. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna do it.